Okay, YouTube, how y'all doing today or this evening? This your boy Keith Cunningham again, and my homeboy Guy Abrams. We got another topic for y'all this evening, and the title of this is "Missing Black or Colored Individuals." And I just wanted to. I had to look for this article. I actually read it back in February, maybe the first couple of days of February, and I lost track of it. But I think it's relevant now to what we're going through with the missing cases of Gabrielle Patino. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the backlash from different, maybe even YouTubers and certain black media commentators that there's a discrepancy in missing person cases for people of color. Now, I just want to go over this article with you with my homeboy Guy Abrams, and he'll be able to patch in and give his opinion on it. And I want to read you the. Oh, by the way, sorry about not being able to put this in the description, but this article was published February 1st, 2021, in the Patriot Ledger. So that's at patriotledger.com, and you should be able to find this particular article. The title of the article is "People of Color Get Less Attention Than Whites When They Go Missing." I want to read you a quote that's up under the subtitle of the title, and it says, when a person of color disappears, people get the assumption that they must have done something wrong to deserve it. One expert say. I'll get back to that expert as we go on in this. And with that in mind, Guy, what do you think about that? What that statement right there?
I just I think a lot of is misinformation about what goes on in a lot of your black households. For
Mm-hmm.
one, you know that right there, you can't. It's just like you stepping on the outside, saying this and that and the other. This is what's going on. So that person must be doing something wrong or missing because of this person did this and that. But I don't think they understand the love that goes on in a lot of your black households. So my thing is, it's a lot of misinformed individuals out here making these assumptions, whether they
Do,
very
do you think?
oblivious.
Do you think it's that when you talk about? I like to call them lamestream media, but mainstream media, I think it disproportionately shows us in a bad light.
It always does.
Yeah, it's been like that since we've been younger, and our parents and forefathers they've gone through that, and they've talked about that. So I just wanted to interject that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think this has actually been going on longer than what a lot of us actually are seeing right now. This is something that's been going on for decades. If you really
Right.
want to dig into it further, you can just assume this didn't just happen yesterday. Well, it's a reason for this, and the thing is, black lives really doesn't really matter as much. I'm keeping it real, 100. It
I
really
agree.
doesn't matter to white America. It truly doesn't. And I'm not saying this to attack no particular group or what have you, but the proof is in the pudding when you see all these evidences, all these situations that occurs throughout the communities over the years, and even to this very day as we speak right now. It's got to be something that can be done keep a spotlight on this situation and keep it on it. Don't let up.
It needs to be exposed because it to me it spider webs out, and I'll get into this later on in the video and something that I really want to attach to this because it bothers me when I hear um, the argument about a certain act that we do at sporting events. But I'm gonna go on, guy. I'm gonna get to these story highlights. What I got written down here.
Hmm.
All right. One of the bullet points is missing person cases involving people of color in the U.S. are less likely to be solved. I mean, we know that that's a given. I think we across the board either know somebody or have somebody in our family that has experienced that. I think that's the given there. It is what it is.
It is what
Second
it
thing,
is.
yeah, just all right. another thing is oftentimes when a person of color or a child of color is reported missing, they are classified as a runaway. I think that's a misconception.
It's a misconception.
I really believe that. After being in the community, that rarely happens. If it's considered a runaway, they run to a cousin's house, an aunt's house, or something like that. But
Exactly.
just to go into the streets, it's very rare that I've heard that.
That's very rare and very uncommon for it to happen like that. Like you said, they're usually going to run away to a cousin, family member of some, and they're going to be back in who knows 2 3 days a week. I've had cousins that ran away, was caught, came back, but to run away and never show up again,
That's
I don't. It doesn't happen that way.
it's very suspicious.
Yeah,
Okay.
very suspicious.
Yeah, going forward, it says cases involving African Americans remain open and unresolved 4 times longer than cases involving white and Hispanic people. That right there is amazing. I mean, sometimes you got to look at the numbers. If you want to prove something, like if I'm just an analogy, if I play basketball and then I'm a great shooter, I got to shoot 50% from the floor, or I'm not considered a great basketball player, right?
Right.
The numbers don't lie. That's the point I'm trying to make.
They don't lie.
Something else I saw in this article that would, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't know it was a big part of that it affected their community too. Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Native Americans make up a very big part of this, and they're kind of under the same umbrella as us.
That's
And
true.
yeah, it's when you look for stuff like that, you never know what you're going to uncover. Never know what's going on. I hope I'm pronouncing this lady's tribe right. It's Mashpee tribe, and they're out there actually offering a reward. She's been missing for a while, but look at this stat here: Black women make up fewer than 7% of the total population, but represent nearly 10% of all missing Americans. That's 7% of the total population and 10% of the.
That's staggering.
That's staggering. Here's another stat that I didn't know. Native American women represent 1.3% of the total population, according to the Census Bureau. I didn't know that either. Here's a statement. Who wrote this here? Let me make sure I got everybody's name right. Okay, Natalie Wilson, co-founder and director of public relations for the Black and Missing Foundation, used in social media platforms to raise awareness for missing people of color or minorities. Natalie Wilson is the co-founder and director of public relations. She said in a statement, when a person of color, or she's the one that said a person of color or child of color is missing, they're classified as a runaway. That I want to make sure I put a name on that.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. This is really interesting. But while I'm going through that, I'm gonna do a little more talking on the Charlie Project. But I'll let you go ahead and were you aware of that as far as Native Americans being part of that? We really don't hear from their community on that. So this was surprising to me.
It's surprising to me too, because I didn't really hear too much about the situation with the Native Americans being there, but I knew there's some things that they had experienced, but I didn't know it was on that level as it is. But that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
And I wanted to put a name on the statement. At the beginning of the video, I made the statement of when a person of color disappeared, people get the assumption that they must have done something to deserve it. That was said by Megan Good, who is a founder of the Charlie Project, a website that publicizes cold missing person cases across the country. So I just wanted to put a name on that as I made that statement earlier.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. and we want to make sure we get everybody's name on there.
Right.
I want to read another little excerpt. Blacks on an average remain missing longer and more likely to be missing by the end of our observation period than non-black people or children. According to the study by the U.S. National Library of Medicine and National Institute of Health, published in 2018. It said the study concluded that the greater media attention missing white girls receive may aid search efforts, whereas resources available for search efforts involving black children or people is limited, and law enforcement may put more effort into involving cases of missing white persons. That's a statement. Okay, that's a study from the U.S. National Library of Medicine and National Institute of Health, published in 2018.
And my question is, why is this so? So if there's anyone listening to this podcast, please make a comment and say, why do you think this is the case? Because it's been going on for a long time and it's continuing to go on. So I'm just curious of how could this continue to be going on in 20th century here, where you have this being the case, where it's not putting enough resources in finding these individuals of these situations, because just like you said earlier, if you can find one child of this set and then it comes to, it's like multiple childs of this type of, family here is missing, and you can't even give us, oh, they ran away? Come on, man. We got to come better than that. We got to come better than that. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to leave it at that. But I just don't think it's it doesn't make good sense. It's something that's not being said. Like I said, when the law enforcement out there looking for a younger white individuals, and then you get a person of color, they do it for, even if they even do it, you know what I mean? Even if they do it. But for the white individual, they put dogs out there. It's like the whole combine is out there. You don't even get none of that when a black person is missing. None of it.
Well, let me respond to that, because this is stated in the article, and if we're gonna read it, we're gonna read it, down the line of what the response of many police departments when it comes to this. And it says here, police departments try to find as much information as possible. They enter the person's name into the national databases, follow up on leads, but sometimes people associated with the missing person do not want to talk with them, such as if they have a criminal background. Now, how do we address that one? How do we address that?
I give you that. I give them some of that.
But does that count for the kids too, though?
No, that doesn't count for these kids. You can't count them on the kids. Now, the adults, I can see that being probably the case in some of these individuals. But the thing is, the numbers are just so staggering for this to be, and it's like a cop out on the majority of the time. We don't have the resources. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And I'll forget the gentleman's name here. That was he was aspiring to be a doctor, and he ended up missing. I'm gonna do a little more research on that. I want to speak on that till I got all the facts. But I just want to piggyback off of something when I talked about Megan Good. That's the person who I referred to earlier in the video about black people, the assumption that black people did something wrong, they must have deserved it. That was Megan Good, the founder of the Charlie Project.
I just think that's wrong altogether.
Yeah, that's
just being biased.
It's a narrative that I think is getting pushed, that we are criminals, and they love to run away with the term thug. We know what they mean when they say thug. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the rap industry made that, synonymous with us. But I want to just say something else that this Megan Good said, and this is piggybacking off. She says that for the most part, the assumption is when a black person disappears that they deserved it. She also added, it's especially true when with black men, Good said. They are amongst the most common demographic of missing adults. Didn't know that either.
Didn't
But
know
they are
that.
often not covered in the news, she said. That's true. If we went out there and robbed the 7-Eleven, it would be all over the news. All
Right.
over the news. And it would be something, you can't get away from. With that in mind, I wanted to ask people that might see this video, leave a question or a comment below. Do you think there's a disparity when it comes to people of color, especially African Americans, and right now we got to throw in the Native Americans because that specific, dynamic, I did not know. I did not know. So with that in mind, you got anything else you want to say, Guy Abrams?
No, man, I think you said a lot in this short time. You really did. I wasn't too versed on it, so those statements that I made was just my opinions. That's it. I want to make that clear. Those were my opinions. I don't have a fact sheet in front of me, but I do have some of the news clippings that I was listening to earlier. But yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the nail. Yeah, you hit it on the nail. So,
Yeah, well, I believe so. And just in closing, for anybody that listens to this particular post, issues like this, to me, my opinion, this is why professional athletes kneel. If there's a disparity and there are things that are going wrong, you cannot deflect and say it's disrespecting the flag when the flag is disrespecting us.
100%.
With that in mind, I appreciate your time and tune in to the next one.